Hello everybody, if you're new here, my name is Liza and I'm a certified health coach, and today I'm going to be diving into all things hydration. And if you think that I'm going to be telling you that you need to be drinking at least 8 glasses of water a day, you're wrong. So stick around to find out what I actually recommend to people to stay properly hydrated. The myth that you need to be drinking 8 glasses of water a day, and yes, you heard me right, I did say myth, is because it came from the 1940s and it had actually no medical basis or data to back it up at all. It was just a recommendation. And today, a lot of researchers actually find that to be an overestimate of how much water we need. This is primarily for 2 reasons. One, your body is after minerals and not just plain water. Like I've mentioned before, water is the vehicle and minerals are the occupants inside of the car that the cells are actually really looking forward to and need to do their daily job. And the second reason is pretty crazy, but did you know that your body actually makes its own water? Yes. You heard me right. It's super cool and it's got an even cooler name. Easy water, or exclusion zone water. This water is made by your cells and exists in a 4th state, so not a liquid, not a solid or a gas, but rather as a liquid crystal structure. And your body makes this inside and around every single cell. It's so incredible. So structurally, this water has atoms that are ordered in a very specific way, like a crystal, but it can actually move around like a liquid / gel. So kind of think of it more as like a gelled water. It forms whenever it comes into contact with a biological surface in your body, such as a cell membrane or protein. And the reason why it's called exclusion zone water is because it will actually create a barrier and not allow anything larger than a proton to enter it, which is pretty crazy when you think about it because protons are really, really tiny. With this logic, it would be able to keep out a lot of toxins and bacteria, and that means that cells can only become toxic when inadequate easy water is available. Another fascinating thing about this easy water is that it actually has a negative charge, unlike liquid water, which is neutral. And then also important to note is that when easy water is created, a line of protons also is formed next to it, which protons are positively charged. So kind of think of this in terms of a battery where you have a positively charged end and a negatively charged end, and this is creating something known as cellular voltage, and this really has to do with the energy that's in your body. There's this massive water network because of the easy water inside your body that helps to give you energy in every single cell, and this charge is important for cellular health. And you can actually charge this energy by ultraviolet or infrared light. Infrared light helps to expand the size of the easy water that's inside your body, and this means that there's going to be more potential energy because it's creating a bigger battery. Ultraviolet, on the other hand, will help to energize the battery by creating plasma containing electrons inside of it. The easy water network then acts as a sort of highway to transport these free electrons to wherever they are needed in your body. Grounding is also super helpful to charge your easy water because it supplies more negatively charged ions to your body, and then the easy water will again act as a highway to help these electrons get to wherever they are needed inside your body. The easy water acts as a conduit from the earth, helping the negatively charged ions travel from the earth to inside your body. Nourishing this water inside of you can help to maintain stable health and create more energy as well. When you begin to lose easy water and its charge, this can lead to decreased energy and even sometimes lead to cell division. So just another good reason to go outside, get that sun, charge yourself up, or get a red light device during the winter to help get an extra boost of infrared light as well. Moving on to the mineral portion of this, like I said earlier, your body is after minerals, not just plain water, and it's also important to note that you can actually get a ton of minerals from food as well. So to stay hydrated, you don't only have to drink liquids, but you can also eat food. I know, it's crazy. This will really help to expand your horizon of what it means to be hydrated, and I think that helps a lot because a lot of people think like, oh, I just have to like drink plain boring water. It's like, no, there's actually a ton of options out there because now you're expanding the whole web to include not only liquids but food as well. Let's go over the major minerals that you want to be including in your diet and the food and drink sources you can get them from. So starting off, we have sodium, which is definitely going to be the biggest one that you need by far. It's key for optimal adrenal health, and if you're depleted, you can feel fatigue, brain fog, you can actually end up retaining water, and it can actually activate a chronic stress response as well because your cells really need sodium to do their job. Now, what's important to note about salt is that if you get processed or iodized salt, it's actually not going to be as beneficial to you, and it does not mean the same thing as getting a high quality salt. Just like how I said in an earlier video, not all calories are the same, not all salt is the same either. When you eat french fries from McDonald's, for example, that's not the same as sprinkling high quality salt on a steak or something. So just want you to keep that in mind. Where you get your salt from is going to be really important. Another thing to note is the presence of heavy metals in your salt. Heavy metals exist in our natural environment, like the Earth's crust, but is also present in things like pollution. So for example, sea salts can actually absorb pollution from either the water or the air, and then salts that get mined in the earth may obtain heavy metals from geological deposits, plus the heavy machinery or explosives used to mine it may also contribute to the heavy metal presence in salt as well. Agricultural pesticides and industrial waste that pollutes water are also major sources of heavy metal contamination too. This is especially important to note for pregnant women or children, as a child's brain is still growing and is really susceptible to things like heavy metals, and an accumulation of heavy metals in your body is linked to neurological damage, kidney issues, cardiovascular disease. I don't say all this to scare you, but to just make you more aware of how important the quality of the salt that you're consuming is, especially when you want to uptake it because you realize that you're depleted. The Animal-Based Nutrition Research Foundation actually did a recent study, and they compared a ton of different popular salt brands to see how much, if any, heavy metals or even microplastics were in each of the salts. The ones that came out on top were the Morton iodized salt, Malden sea salt, Jacobsen salt, and Diamond crystal salt. For obvious reasons, you don't want to be consuming the Morton iodized sea salt because, like I said earlier, iodized just means that it's super refined and processed. So yes, it did get rid of a lot of the heavy metals and things that may have been present in there, but now there's nothing of real nutritional value at all that it's adding. So you want to stay away from that one. Also important to note, you may notice that there are some microplastic levels found in the Malden and Jacobsen sea salt, but these are such minuscule amounts, they're actually smaller than if you were to drink from a plastic water bottle or even breathe in household dust. So it's a really tiny amount that does not cause major concern. I like to use the Malden sea salt myself for sprinkling in my water or even putting on top of chocolate chip cookies. They are larger flakes, so if you wanted to put them in a sea salt grinder, you could definitely do that to get them to be tinier flakes. I'm also using up some Redmond salt that I bought earlier in the year. You can see on this chart that actually they did not do well basically across the board. Instead of throwing it out though, I'm just going to continue to use it up and just remind myself that God has designed us with a detoxification system, and I'm just going to rest in the fact that it can do its job, and once I'm done with it, then I'm just not going to buy it again. So when adding salt to water, you just want a really tiny amount, depending if you're just having like an 8-ounce glass of water or something, you just want a really tiny amount, a little bit more if you're putting it in a water bottle. And also you can do a really fun thing. I actually just did this last night. You can make a salt rim along a glass and then put some water in there, some ice, and then you can add in lemon and lime juice. It tastes really, really good. You could also do with carbonated water if you want as well, to just spice things up and make it a little bit different, a little bit more fun too. Potassium is a mineral that a lot of people are deficient in but don't know it. And this works in tandem with sodium to balance the fluid in our body. If you remember the sodium potassium pump that I mentioned in an earlier video, you would know that they're best friends. So you want to make sure that you're also upping your potassium if you find that you're low in sodium as well. Potassium is also super helpful for muscle contractions. The best source for this is going to be coconut water, which you can find in just about any store. If you don't like the taste, like me, you can always add it to another type of fruit juice. I like to add it to orange juice, just a splash in there. I feel like it really makes it taste super fresh with it in there, and I promise that you cannot taste the coconut water. But if you love it, go for it. You can add it to any type of drink that you want. 500 milliliters of coconut water has over 1,200 milligrams of potassium, 525 milligrams of sodium, and 125 milligrams of potassium. So it is definitely an elite hydration drink for sure. If you don't have coconut water or you don't like it, you can add a dash of cream of tartar to your fruit juice as well to up your potassium levels. Obviously, food-wise, bananas are going to be a huge source of potassium, but you can also get it from avocados, salmon, milk, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, citrus fruits, eggs, and beets. Magnesium, the mineral that everybody knows that they're deficient in. When you're stressed out, you tend to burn through magnesium a lot. I mean, you tend to burn through your minerals quickly, but especially magnesium. So it's really important to replenish this mineral, and there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. It's really important to replenish because it helps relax your muscles and it helps your nervous system and metabolism thrive, and it's present in just about every single bodily process that takes place. It can also help you sleep better at night. I actually have a magnesium lotion that I like to rub on my feet and my belly to help me experience a deeper sleep. Or I use it too if I worked out really hard that day and I know that I'm going to get a calf cramp during the middle of the night, or any other sore muscles that I have from the workout I did. I just rub it on there and it helps, like I mentioned earlier, to relax your muscles. Sources for this mineral include grass-fed dairy, nuts, seeds, dark leafy greens, coconut water, San Pellegrino water, sardines, potatoes, beef, chicken. You can also add Epsom salt to your baths. That's going to be really beneficial too if you're sick or you have sore muscles or achy muscles. And I forgot to mention this, but you can also make or buy a topical magnesium spray, and you could spray that on your feet if you don't want to deal with a greasy lotion. You can spray that really anywhere. You can spray it on your pits too. That helps to mitigate the smell if you have smelly pits, just saying. Moving on to calcium. Calcium is a mineral that helps with muscle contraction, nerve signaling, fluid balance, and helps to lower the stress hormones. Good sources of calcium include raw dairy. Again, if you can't find raw, that's okay. Just know that that's going to be the best form with the most bioavailable minerals in it. But again, just do the best that you can. Sardines, bone broth, oysters, dark leafy greens, eggshell powder, beef liver, and mangoes. Phosphorus works in tandem with calcium for bone and cell function and helps with ATP production, which is going to be your energy in your body. Sources of phosphorus include pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed beef, bee pollen, dairy, beef liver, oysters, and nuts and seeds. Zinc is needed for hormone regulation and metabolism and immune function. Sources of zinc include oysters, shellfish, grass-fed beef, bee pollen, pasture-raised eggs, beef liver, and pumpkin seeds. Copper is necessary for iron metabolism, so if you're iron deficient, I'd highly recommend getting labs done and seeing where your copper levels are at as well, because those two work really closely together, and if you can up your copper levels, sometimes that does help with raising your iron levels as well. Copper also helps with energy and balancing other minerals in the body, like I mentioned with iron. It can also help with balancing zinc as well. Sources of copper include beef liver, shellfish, cacao, acerola, oranges, maple syrup, bee pollen, and mangoes. Silica helps support hydration down to the cellular level and also helps strengthen connective tissues within your body. Sources of silica include cucumbers, nettle tea, mineral-rich spring water, bee pollen, shilajit, and sardines. Boron helps the absorption of minerals, increases DHT, strengthens teeth, and supports white enamel. Sources include dried fruit, raw honey, apples, nuts, bee pollen, and shilajit. Lastly, sulfur is crucial for detoxification, reducing inflammation, and regulating hydration. Sources include onions, eggs, garlic, and MSM powder. Last thing I'll touch on with minerals is going over electrolyte powders. I feel like they are just all the rage these days, and there's so many different brands to choose from, and they're all saying they're the best for hydrating you and they're super healthy and all this stuff. So I just want to touch on them quickly because I feel like a lot of it can be misleading. Number one, they're super expensive. If you were to have them with every glass that you had, that would rack up so quickly. Number two, they're filled with just a lot of not good ingredients. Number one, a lot of them have stevia in there, which is just basically a fake sugar that your body really does not like to use. They're full of natural flavors as well, which has no regulation on it, so you have no idea what the company is actually adding in there. They also usually have citric acid as a preservative in there, which is usually derived from mold. And then they also include synthetic forms of vitamins as well, which are not going to be bioavailable to your body. So I'm not saying they're terrible to have, but if you're going to be consuming them multiple times a day, every day, I would steer clear of them. Simple swaps that you can do to still be getting minerals and electrolytes in your body would include adding a high quality sea salt, like I mentioned before, to your water. Consume things like milk, which I usually add to my protein powder or have right before bed if I'm still a little bit hungry. You can also make a concoction of different fruit juices. You can make them yourself, or you can get them from the store. If you buy them from the store, you want to make sure that they're not from concentrate that's just heavily processed. They're frozen for a long time, and make sure that they have no additives, if at all possible, and limited added sugar as well. Of course, there's going to be sugar in it because it is from a fruit, but usually a lot of the time added sugar is going to be processed sugar. You can drink coconut water or make an adrenal cocktail, which is really a mocktail because there's no alcohol in it. It's usually just equal parts coconut water and orange juice. If you don't have coconut water, again, or you don't like it, you could add in 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar and then a pinch of sea salt as well. If you're going to drink that, you want to make sure that you have that with either a meal or a snack that has protein in it, because you don't want your blood sugar to spike. You want it to remain balanced with that drink. You can also drink any type of tea that's going to be super hydrating for you, or just adding in some fruits to your water to spice things up a little bit. So it could be lemon, lime, strawberries or raspberries are super good too. Watermelon's super hydrating too. You can make watermelon juice or just eat some watermelon. So there are a ton of options there to still get your electrolytes in without breaking the bank, and avoiding a lot of additives too that are not going to be beneficial for you. If you were looking for specific products that you wanted to buy to add into your drink, you could look at Jigsaw's Adrenal Cocktail Mix that has real vitamin C in there, sodium and potassium. And then the company World Organics has a great chlorophyll if you're into that kind of thing. And then Perfect Supplements also has an acerola cherry powder that you could add into whatever drink you want. I gotta also quickly mention Gatorade, because I know a ton of people who drink it for electrolytes, and I would say back in the day that actually used to be a pretty dang good electrolyte drink, because it just had simple ingredients in there of water, sugar, salt, potassium, and lemon juice, and it came in a glass bottle. I mean, that's quite literally peak right there. But today, you know, it's sold in plastic bottles, and there's food dyes and additives and just not good forms of vitamins in there, so it's not really doing you a whole ton of good. So I would also steer clear of those and make any of the drinks that I alluded to earlier in this video. The last thing I want to talk about is water filtration. I can't talk about hydration without talking about the importance of filtering your water. As recently as 2024, there have been new guidelines concerning the amount of fluoride levels in tap water. Before I get into that though, let me just give a quick background of fluoride. It's a naturally occurring mineral found in phosphate-rich rock, but it is also a byproduct of fertilizer production, and that is what is known as fluorosilicic acid, which is actually what is found in our water. So it's not even just a straight up mineral, it's the byproduct of a fertilizer, which is also used as an insecticide. Definitely healthy, right? The study that came out in 2024 spanned the length of 9 years and talked about the inverse relationship they found between fluoride levels in children and their IQ scores. So for every 1 part per million of fluoride in urine, there is a roughly 1 point drop in a child's IQ score. This study done by the National Toxicology Program was the basis of a federal judge's ruling that ordered the EPA to further regulate fluoride to protect children's intellectual development. I'm glad this is finally getting addressed, because I feel like for years, people were just gaslit into thinking that fluoride was not a problem, and basically just labeled as conspiracy theorists for thinking that fluoride had anything to do with IQ scores or just health in general. I think if people were so off base with that claim, they should have done studies way earlier, like when they first put it into our tap water, to just prove us wrong and show the good that it was going to do, but they never did that, because it's likely that they knew and didn't want to publish any data that saying that it was actually really unhealthy. Fluoride in drinking water can also cause fluorosis, which is when you get white spots or discoloration on your teeth. It can also cause bone issues, including bone cancer, and thyroid issues as well, because it acts similar to iodine in the body, because it's actually right next to iodine on the periodic table. But what it does is doesn't allow iodine to do its job in the thyroid, and that can lead to issues such as hypothyroidism in a person. The fluoride in the water system can also actually extract the lead from the pipes that it flows through to get to people's places, and the EPA stated as saying that anywhere from 10 to 20% of lead cases in children comes from tap water. So that's lovely as well. Researchers from the Environmental Quality Institute of the University of North Carolina, Asheville actually conducted this study to find that out. And fluoride is just one of the more commonly known additives to our water. If you go to ewg.com and enter in your zip code, it will actually tell you exactly what is in the tap water of your city. You can also even order tests to see if you're on a well, because that can also actually have contaminants as well to see what is specifically in there. But if you go to that website, you'll see what's in your city's water. Most everything they list there is going to be way over the limits that they have set, which is obviously concerning on multiple levels. And they'll tell you what the effect of it is if it's, you know, in really high doses or something. Other examples of contaminants include chlorine, pharmaceuticals, mercury, lead, microplastics, forever chemicals, also known as PFAS, VOCs, aluminum, arsenic, herbicides, pesticides, glyphosate, nitrates, and chloroform, just to name a few more. When looking for a water filter, you want to see what specific contaminants they take out or how much of them. Sometimes they'll give a percentage of 99.6%, or we take out these specific contaminants, so you can kind of compare to where you live and see the different options out there for which one is going to best suit you. My husband and I use a zero water filter. Hey everybody, editor Liza here. So a couple days after filming this video, my husband was reading through Consumer Reports and saw that zero water filters was not a good option because it leaches microplastics into the water. Their model's only BPA free versus the clearly filtered water filters that I'm about to talk about are BPA, BPS, and phthalate free because there's a ton of different plastics that people can put in the containers, and obviously you don't want that leaching into your water. So the more plastic that it's free from, the less chance that there's going to be microplastics that leach into your water. So I would not recommend that water filter. We're currently in the market for a new one, and so I'm either thinking about the clearly filtered one, or there is another brand called Santiva, which has like a glass jar that it filters all the bad stuff out and then actually adds back in really good minerals. It comes with a cute little bamboo stand. Obviously that one's more expensive, so we'll see if we end up springing for that one. Otherwise, like I said, clearly filter's a great option. There's a ton of other pretty affordable options too, so just thought that was hilarious timing with that and wanted to say that. On to the rest of the video. Clearly filtered is another great option because they have a ton of variety. If you want to get a filter for your fridge, they have one of those. If you want to get an under the sink filter, they also have that, and then they have a pitcher too that looks similar to what a Brita does, which also, by the way, Britas do nothing. I gotta say that again, Britas do nothing, okay? They might remove a few things for taste-wise, but I hate to break it to you, that thing is not filtering out anything. It's just sitting there looking pretty, doing nothing for you. So I would recommend throw your Britas out, okay? And go get one of these other pitchers. Again, clearly filtered is still actually really reasonable. There are a ton of water filters out there that are really, really expensive. You can do the whole in-home thing that would obviously deal with every single water source, but if you don't have the money for that, that's okay. Just start with your drinking water. Clearly filtered also has a really great option. They have a water bottle you can get. So if you were to, go on a trip or be at work all day and you don't have access to a good filter, you can just take this water bottle along with you. I think that's a super great idea, and it will definitely pay for itself. Clearly filters pitcher is also BPA, BPS, and phthalate free, so that's definitely a really good option too, because it's still plastic, but it's like medical grade. So it's not gonna be leaching microplastics into your water either. RO, or reverse osmosis, is another popular option that people sometimes have in their houses, and I'm not saying that's terrible, but you just have to remember that since it's filtering out every single thing, it's also filtering out good minerals. So it is crucial that you add back in some type of mineral, whether it's trace mineral drops that you can find online or in stores, or even just a high quality salt. You gotta be adding something back in there because that water is dead. It is not providing anything to you right now. So you just gotta help it out a little bit. The absolute S tier water though, just the most chef's kiss of them all, is going to be mineral rich spring water, okay? This water is alive down to the cellular level. That thing is rushing over rocks, an accumulation of minerals that your body is just longing for. So you can find these in stores. You got Mountain Valley. There's so many different brands out there. This is one that I just found at the store the other day. Again, this is something like I don't buy on a daily basis, but it's definitely, and you can get still or sparkling with a lot of them too, but it's just a good option to think about. Mountain Valley spring water actually does have a delivery service. Again, it's not going to be to everywhere, so you'd have to enter your zip code and find out where, but they do deliveries of like their glass jars, and then they also have glass jugs that are like bigger too. So that's an option to look into. Something else to look into that's really cool is findaspring.com. This map shows you where cold and hot springs are. So for drinking water purposes, you're gonna be wanting to look at the blue water icons only. Again, they're not available everywhere. You have to look around, see where you live, see if there's anything close by. And some of these locations might not be updated. Like some people might not have been there in years, or it might not be tested either. You kind of want to see what's in the water first just to make sure. You can check the comments, see if anyone has tested it for things. Usually it's just like a spout in the ground and people just go there and fill up huge jugs of water. You definitely got to do your own research on that and make sure it's safe, of course, but it's a really cool resource of just people coming together and listing these different springs. So highly recommend checking that out for fun. One last thing, if you think that filtering your drinking water is important, I would also highly recommend looking into a shower and or bath filter, because again, your skin is your largest organ and it absorbs so much. And so it's really important when you're showering that all of those chemicals are not getting absorbed into your skin on a daily basis. So I have a relatively cheap shower filter that I get from Amazon. It's a company called Aquabliss, and we have it attached to our shower. It fits on any shower head, and it's really easy to install. Like, if I can do it, I did it in college when I lived with 2 other girls, then anybody can do it. So it's super easy to install, and it like shows you, like, it adds back in minerals. It shows you how their filtration system works. And I think we've only had to replace it like twice a year, and it's not expensive to buy the filters, and it's not expensive to just buy the base unit too. So that's a really good option. But again, there are tons out there. Just do some research. Quick Google search. A really good bath filter is from Crystal Quest, also found on Amazon. You just put it under your faucet when you would fill up the bath. This is really good if you have young kids that take baths all the time, or if you just like to take baths because they're super relaxing, or even when you're sick too. That's a really good option to have. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. I hope that you learned something new. As always, if you have any questions or you're just super confused on your health journey, I would love to work with you, so don't hesitate to reach out. I'll leave a link in the description box below where you can schedule a free discovery call with me to see if we'd be a good fit and ask any questions that you have about it. In the next video, I'm going to be talking all things sleep. See you soon. Bye.